Hi and welcome to the Market Alert for Tuesday the 12th of January 2020. So Bitcoin bloodbaths, big tech battered as the dollar bounces back and builds. And that's for the time being, of course, until Biden starts to print like crazy. And we'll then see a devaluation once more of the currency. But for the time being, it's a bit of a dead cat bounce in the US dollar. And in the implied volatility, because there was a bit of a pullback yesterday, we saw this increase to 18.84 in the Dow. We've got a bit of a treading water situation going on at the moment because the market's waiting to see, or in that transition phase is probably the right word, waiting for Biden to take over full control. No sign of Trump. So, like I say, a bit of a limbo actually, which is a real pain in the rear. But I suspect they'll do their best to try and keep the markets on the high, and we'll certainly get a bounce once Biden's in. Initially, how long that lasts for, who knows? Depends whether the market likes it or not, or whether the capitalists start to actually exit stage left, take their money before all of the socialist and communist policies come into force. So we'll see. We'll see, but that would be my take at the moment. News-wise, today we've just got the MPC member broadband speaking at 10 a.m. For the UK there. But otherwise, nothing. Lagarde disappeared yesterday. She didn't speak, even though it was highlighted in the news. So let's have a look at where we are for yesterday and overnight. We can see that the market pulled back 38 and 50%. We'll look at this in more detail in just a moment. And you can see prices managing to close back above the 5 bar yesterday, but a bit of weakness overnight. So what I would be inclined to do here, just to get an idea, just in case we get a bit of a bounce back, is from this high to this low, project back, just in case. So having selected the fib retracement tool, draw these in, and I'm just going to drag them out a bit here so I can remove the 38 because we've already gone through 38, and you can see straight away we're struggling at 50, but I'm going to remove that because we've traded through it, and then just leave the 62, 78 and 89 there, just in case the prices do decide to move back to the upside, and the downside is already covered with these two here, 38 and 50. So I'll make a note of those upside targets and add those to the chart as I did yesterday for these downside ones that we had for 38 and 50. So the market showing a slight increase there, coming off the lows, which is good, but overnight prices have, let's have a look, moved higher and then moved lower, and this is where we kick off here, straight off the 200 and the DP. You can see prices moving up to this BRN. You can see again how it held here, opened up more or less where it had closed, and then just moved up, came back to the BRN and the 200 MA. Again, same thing here, BRN 200 market buying off this level. Here you've got a 78% retracement before prices move lower, closing twice back below the 5 bar, then selling below the 20 bar, and then trading down to that DP level, and then just treading water, which I think is going to be a bit of a theme, to be honest with you, over the next few days, unfortunately. But you've got to come up with some sort of reason why the market would crash, why it would rally. Given that we say we're in this transition from Trump to Biden. More likely to move to the upside though, because that's what the deep state wants, to keep the illusion alive that everything is fine. And yeah, back to the BRN here, DP below, back to the close. You can see them, a cluster of buying there at the previous day's close as well. So let's just compress it a bit more, just get a really good idea of where we are. I'm just looking for the 200 MA, which is in there somewhere. Where's it gone? Oh, it's there. It's just above. It's there. So just approaching that. I need to close above that in order to move higher. But let's just have a look, see where we are for the previous day's high. Quite a distance off, which is going to be over 100 points from where the market's currently traded up to the R1. And again, let's just have a look, see where we are with the low. We're 100 points down to the low as well, which also combines the S1 pivot, where you'd expect some significant support at this level. And also 813, if we go back, 813 isn't on there, so let me just show you where that will be. Well, it's just obviously the low is here, it's just below there, but is it also at a decent fib level? Let's have a look. 781 is 62%, so just below the low there. So just go back, yeah, so there's your DP. It's 300, and then just slightly below there would be, if it breaks through on the downside, would be looking at 781, 20 points below that BRN as an area of support. So we'll leave those in as well, just in case that happens. We could have a day where we got an inside bar for yesterday's trading session, because there isn't much news and there isn't anything really to move prices as well. Okay, let's have a quick look at yesterday, and it's all about buying and selling pressure at the moment on below average volume, which I am in the process of getting written into the software, and it will be indicated as an amber bar, because it alerts you to a potential issue in the market where you could see either absorption or of new selling coming into the market and then moving prices lower. So let's have a look at yesterday morning. We see that we had a shakeout to the downside. They soon bought back in and then sent the market up 50 points in the futures market. Again, you've got that corrective measure there. You've got your 200 MA, and then the market moves lower. And again, from here up to here, you then get a retracement of 62% where they buy back in. But that was in the pre-market. So let's move forward, and I'm going to move quickly through this. We started off with a potential sell signal at the market. Then you can see them buying back. A bit of a volatile open sideways. You can see it was up, it was down, up to the 200, back, and continuing in this sort of mode. Volume starting to drop off as the battle in the start of the session wanes. And then, interestingly enough, we'll start to see a bit of support coming into the market. And here's a subtle bar as well. Let me just change the colour of that back to red. It's easy to see. So here in this bar, you can see that the volume is 90% of the previous bar at the 20 bar moving average. And it's these little subtle things that you start to spot in a chart that give you a clue that the market could be changing. It's also going to give us the option to get into the trade a lot quicker as well. So prices here putting in a potential buy signal, but immediately look what happens here. We can see the range of this red bar, the up thrust. Prices were thrust up, they hit the 200 MA and they were sold into immediately. And you can see the previous bar's range is far greater and the volume less. So we know we've got a problem here. So this would be indicated as an amber. It's also at the low where you'd expect the market to at least have an attempt to move higher. But they took advantage as the market came back to sell straight into this. And then as soon as it broke below the low and the 20 bar moving average, they just went for the shakeout. Okay, and that stems back to here. You can see they were trying to move lower, they brought it back, then they moved it higher, and then it just wouldn't go. And again, they attempted here, as we noted, with the buying pressure, but the market wasn't having it. And so the best thing to do in order to move higher is you have to shake out first. So get rid of everybody, see who wants to sell, and then you'll see that they decided that that wasn't going to be the case. And again, they start to pull the brakes on here. Again, narrow range in the previous bar, and prices start to reduce in momentum. Now I'm having a look at the daily chart here, where the fibs are that we drew in yesterday. Very important, and you'll see me add those in just a moment. So now we've got the momentum slowed, and they said no, we still haven't got enough here. We want to take it down to the 38% in the daily chart, and that's exactly what they do. You'll see now the brakes being put on again. Even though this shows some selling, the volume is massive compared to the previous bar. So again, let's just move this down, market maker style, and then bring the market back. And now you've got this bar, which is inside of the range of the previous bar, and the volume is more or less the same. So the selling's disappeared at this point. It had to have done, because otherwise, if it was the same or more volume and it was all selling, then you'd expect prices to continue lower. So these are the bars that I'm going to highlight, so that if you're short, then it allows you to say, well, there's a bit of an amber warning here, well, let's lock in profits. Or if you're looking for a potential trade, you've got the same situation where you can say, well, hang on a minute, this is starting to show some support. And when you combine everything else, 38% from the daily chart, retracement, S2, and that sort of thing, then it makes a massive difference in actually stacking the odds. So I'm going to whiz through this a bit. There are a lot more of these subtleties in here. I mean, you can see this one straight off. Again, you can see a lot more volume than the previous bar. And then prices come back to 38. And again, I say I'm just going to whiz through this because I'll be here all day if I wanted to talk about every single bar. So again, we see we have a potential buy signal. Down here, you can see that same subtleness with the volume. Prices reverse, start to move higher, and then we get this buying bar. But as we're going through this resistance, again, immediately, just look what happens with the volume. They get to this point, and it's a 62% retracement from this high to this low, which we can see here. As soon as we get to it, either all the fib traders are saying, well, thanks, but I'm taking the money here, and you see straight away you've got this massive increase in volume compared to the previous bar, and this is where the market stops. I decided to jump ship on the basis of what I was seeing here, and then prices traded to the downside there before finding some support. Let's just have a look at some of the subtleties through here as prices came back to the 20 bar moving average. Again, you can see straight away that we've got an increase in volume at the 20 bar compared to the previous bar, and as prices trade sideways and then move back to the upside, selling's out of the way and working its way just through the fibs that I drew in from here to here. I'll draw them in each swing just to see where we are. And let me just go back here, see if we've got anything that's highlighted there. A bit of a down bar there, and then the straight reversal off this one as well. And it's getting really quiet at this point, as you can see there. Now we have another potential buy signal, and the market's sideways on low volume. So again, we're waiting for this transition phase, but again, you see the order is filled, and then immediately we have a problem. Houston, again, we can see that we've got this selling coming into the market, profit taking, and again I think, well, it's not worth it, out of the trade, too quiet. The market then decides to pull back there, trade sideways, and then moves to the downside just after 10 o'clock. But again, alerted by this potential weakness coming into the market. Like I say, it's frustrating because it's nobody wants to trade or take a side because of this sort of week before the transition. So in the afternoon, the market had moved lower in the morning session. Amazing, isn't it? It does nothing in that 2-hour period. Then it moves to the downside as the Dow futures come on stream. You can see their prices moving sharply lower, trading down. We've gone now down to the S3. There's the 38% retracement, and you'll see me add a few more things on here. I'm just having a look at the daily chart. I can just grab it to see where we are. We went through the 50% retracement there as we hit this low. That's this price action here, and then prices reverse, and then I've put in the this line here is the 50%. Sorry, that's the 38. Here's the 50% retracement line there, which it went through and then bounced back. Which and let me just see if I actually, let me just go back and show you this just about here. There it is. So that's what we're looking at. We got that 50% retracement. I've drawn that on the chart, and that low ties in with the low that you're seeing in this area here, where you've got this volume, cluster of volume there, and then the buyback, and the market starts to move higher. The low of this bar is not the same as the low, or breach the low in the previous bar, and then you've got that buying there to say thanks. It's either short covering, the market opens, the down moves higher, prices move up, and then you can see we've got a bit of selling to start with, and as I'm watching this, I'm drawing these fibs in just to see where the market's likely to find any support, and then watching the volume at these levels. And then immediately you see this straight reversal off this area with a massive increase in volume at 62% and at 50% fib from the daily chart as well, closing back above the 5 bars above the 20 bar there as well. 200's up here because the market's been short. So now what we're looking for is the market to build higher. So I'm zoomed in here just to have a look, and it starts to trade sideways and holds at the 20 bar. We then get a bit of an attempt to move higher, and then prices pull back once more. And this is an interesting bar as well, because you've got, again, this increase in volume, the market sideways, and as soon as this bar completes, you'll see it puts in a great reversal here of this bar here. So all of that increase in volume there was absorption, because if not, again, it would have moved lower. It was selling, and prices moved to the upside. So again, that price bar would be indicated with an amber to say, look, they're absorbing the volume here. And once mission accomplished, you can see they drive prices higher back to the 38% retracement in the daily chart. You've then got the 200 MA there. And I'm going to fast forward through here because, again, I'll pick off those that I spot, but again, you can see there we've got more or less the same volume the previous bar, well, higher volume than the previous bar, more or less the same range is what I meant. And then some more potential weakness. See how it stopped at that 38%. Quite amazing. It does actually go up and break through this in just a moment, which you'll see. And here's another subtle bar. You can see there. They want to try and get through this area. So what they're doing is absorbing the sell orders at the moment as they come in. And then they can just move through. And I'm having a look to see what's going on. And then notice this bar. As it got through, again, it was hit by some more selling because the range is less than the previous bar. So as prices are trying to push, they're being hit with some sell orders, and if they can absorb the sell orders coming in and they want to move it higher, they will do, but eventually it will become a struggle and a battle, and then profit taking will come in and prices will reverse. And we're at the 200 MA there as well. Again, you can see these little subtle bars. I'm not going to cover every one, like I say, owing to time. And then prices succumb to the downside. And what we've got going on here as well is what we saw in the beginning session in the morning, where, look, if you can't make any progress to the upside, then have a shakeout. And there you go. Well, let's shake it out, shall we? Because we can't get through this 200 or this 38 at the moment, because there's too much absorption having to be made in order to move prices to the upside. So we get this sell signal. And this is a bit of a pain, because what happens here is that we get the shakeout, and we can see from here is where we move the market to the upside before, in the final move to the upside in the earlier part of the session at the BRN as well. And what I'm doing here is, like I've done before, I'm just watching to see what the market's going to do. Now, the volume isn't as great as the selling, so the selling sort of disappeared. There's no absorption either, but it doesn't take long before the market indicates to me that, as we see here, we've got this increase in volume now, and we're starting to move back towards the upside. The previous bar's low is not breached either. And prices then trade in this sideways bit. You can see they've absorbed here, and it's a case of then moving back to the upside, and I decided it's not worth hanging around in this trade, take the small loss. And then prices move back above the 38% there. They also sit at 38 and 50 on the downside, from the low to the left to the high, and then it's a case of from the high to the low, projected to the upside there. And this is what happens. Prices then just move back up to the 200 MA. as you can see there. So that's a sideways session taken apart with all of the subtleties of what was going on. But like I say, we are in this difficult phase of waiting to see if Trump's going to do anything this week, and also what Biden will do as well as soon as he gets into office. So we got where are we at the moment? The 12th. We've got 8 days then. So yeah, it's a week yesterday, isn't it? I don't know. 20th, I think, is when Biden comes in. I'll double check, but I think that's when it is. So that actually takes us to a week on Thursday, I think. Okay, that will do it for today. If there is anything else to report, I'll let you know. But otherwise, as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.